This is the S1S Podcast, Episode 6.
The Stage 1 Startup Podcast is launching in T-minus 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1, 0. Prepare for liftoff.
Welcome to the Stage 1 Startup Podcast for startups and aspiring entrepreneurs to find out what it takes to launch any business idea from stage 1 to success. Now, for your hosts, live from the UK, Nichols and Morley.
Hello and welcome to the Stage 1 Startup Podcast. This is episode 6. I just can't believe we're on episode 6 already, Brad. How excited are you right now on a scale of 1 to 10?
On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to take it over. I'm into the 12 today.
You're into 12?
There's a reason behind it. It's been a few weeks since we recorded the last podcast, and I've been pumped all day to jump on this call.
Same. Before we go into the actual podcast itself, we just want to say a huge thank you to everybody that has subscribed, downloaded, rated and reviewed the show so far. We only launched on Monday last week, which was the 26th, I believe, and we have already hit 400 downloads in the first week, and we've already been featured in the top 150 business podcasts, which is absolutely fantastic, and we couldn't have done that without you guys. So thank you very much.
Definitely, guys, we really appreciate it, and yeah, if there's anyone that can continue to help us and support us on this journey, that would be awesome.
So we're going to jump into the show now. I'm going to pass you over to Brad, who's going to do the intro for today's guests. Now, we've got a double whammy today, so we are absolutely buzzing.
Definitely. First four-way call should be an exciting one, so let's do this. Okay, so today we have the pleasure of interviewing two special guests. Joining us all the way from Fishers, Indiana, Mr. Anthony Smith and Yaw Aning. Anthony and Yaw are the founders of a product innovation company called SticksnLeaves, who specialise in building high-growth web and mobile app businesses for their clients. Their business model is focused on helping you minimise the risk of launching a new web or mobile app by helping you acquire your first set of customers, generate revenue quickly, and build an app that your customers will absolutely adore. The SticksnLeaves team are a smart, creative and connected group of experts that will help you set clear goals and work hand in hand with you through all of the stages of launching your own technology product. Their theory is that every business needs technology today to sell products and services, and over the last 5 years, SticksnLeaves have launched over an impressive 60 web and mobile products for their clients. Out of the endless list of clients that SticksnLeaves have helped over the years, some of their success stories consist of helping companies such as Double Map that have landed a $1 million deal, and CoachX, who featured on Shark Tank and closes deals with Uber, YouTube and many more. Now, this is going to be an interesting episode, especially for all of those looking to get into the mobile app industry, or any of you that are thinking of developing an app for your startup. So let's dive in and hear from the pair themselves. Anthony and Yaw, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us. It's a pleasure to be here.
So guys, we've obviously covered a bit about your background there and really what SticksnLeaves are, but do you want to just follow on from that and, you know, give us your version of it?
Sure, yeah. So SticksnLeaves, we're a product innovation agency, and so we help companies at many stages of their development figure out how to build new breakthrough products. And so we focus on really 3 stages of a new company. And the first stage is really market validation, where you've got to figure out whether there's a customer need in the market and validate there's a solution to that customer need that you see. The second stage is more of product validation. Can you build the right product that matched that need that you saw? And then the third is really scaling the company. So what are the things that you're doing from a company building perspective to really make your product and your vision as you continue to grow?
Brilliant. Okay, so, you know, how did you guys sort of come up with the idea of SticksnLeaves? And one quick question as well before we actually do jump into it. Can you talk us through the name of the company and how you got to sort of deciding to call it SticksnLeaves, and what's the background behind it?
Sure. This is always a good story. So I'm a vegetarian, and I worked in a town that was very heavy in automotive, and so it was a kind of a blue-collar type place. And so every day for lunch, the guys in the office would always go, "Hey, Anthony, what do you want for lunch today?" And then they'd say, "Let's do SticksnLeaves," and they'd chest bump and high five, and got one over on the vegetarian. And so I just kind of embraced it and registered the domain. And when it came time to start a business, we had SticksnLeaves. So that's kind of how it came about.
That's brilliant. I love the story behind that. That's great.
That's awesome. And a lot of people, that's actually something that a lot of people struggle with, finding a brand name. And I remember when we started ours, we was sort of thinking over and over and over, and it just clicks into place. And obviously yours is a perfect example of that. So Greg, should we dive into the actual
question round?
Questions, yeah.
Yes, let's do this. Okay, so question round number 1. These types of questions will be based on the hustle and what you guys did and the strategies that you guys used to get to where you are today. Now, we obviously know that Sticks and Leaves is a very successful business, and we want to know what you guys did to get to that point. Brad, did you want to hit us off with the first question?
Yeah, of course. So guys, what we really want to know, because most of our clients are the startups that want to know how to launch from that stage 1 to, start scaling their businesses. So could you just tell us how important it is to have a mobile friendly website for your business?
Absolutely, yeah. So, I mean, as you look at, a lot of the top 4 or 5 companies as far as value goes today, right? The 4 or 5 most valuable companies are all tech companies: Apple, Google, Amazon, Facebook, and their growth has been just tremendous. And one of the reasons is that the internet kind of democratizes things, and it provides a way to reach customers 24/7. You've got instant access to your customers. And so nowadays, when people look for products and services, the first place they're going is looking online and doing a Google search. If you're not there with the website or a mobile optimized website, people are typically not gonna find you. And now there's been a huge transition from web to mobile. It's incredible what capabilities a mobile phone have. It's basically a computer in your pocket. And so really companies have to look at where their customers are spending most of their time, and most of that time now is on a mobile device. So you've really got to figure out ways to build your value and your channels around where your customers are.
Definitely. I read the other day that our mobile phones that we carry around in our pockets every single day have more technology in them now than what the first space shuttle did when it went to the moon. Now that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, the computing power is only getting more powerful, and the device makers are creating more opportunities for you to do newer and more intensive things. So it's pretty amazing every year what these providers are coming out with.
Exactly, and who knows where we'll be in 5 years' time, and what businesses will be able to do in 5 years' time with the technology that will be around then. I mean, it's literally just the only word I can use at this moment in time, being an absolute geek that I am, is it's just exciting. I can't wait. It's only going to get better, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
So can you take us back to the moment you pinpointed Sticks and Leaves as your thing and why you guys decided to run with it?
Yeah, I'll let Anthony answer that one.
Yeah, so kind of a typical entrepreneur story, I think. So Yaw and I we were kind of in jobs that we didn't particularly like, right? And so we had graduated college, got into the workforce, got enterprise, big business jobs, and we just found that it was not a culture that we particularly appreciated or liked, or that we felt valued at. And so for us, it was a big kind of eye-opener of what we wanted to do in our lives. And so Yaw and I both, at different points in our lives, decided that we wanted to be entrepreneurs. And I think both of us really wanted to be entrepreneurs kind of from the beginning, but we were just kind of biding our time for the right opportunity. And so for us, we were able to, we had the opportunity to kind of jump off and start Sticks and Leaves. We had a couple of really good clients at the beginning that kind of helped us launch the business. And as we grew, we really kind of focused on what do we want, what's going to make us happy, and what's going to make us successful, and what's going to make the people around us successful. And so that's kind of what we really focused on. And that's kind of where we kind of geared our culture as a business. And so we really focused on, self-actualization and kind of making sure that we're doing the things that we think are important and the things that we think are going to make a difference. And so that's kind of why we started Sticks and Leaves, but we're also very passionate about building technology and building products. And so we want to, and we have a kind of a wealth of knowledge around that, not just between Yaw and I, but our entire team. I had the opportunity as I was in college, actually, to kind of do a lot of work for kind of the big names in business like Google, Time Warner, or just some big brand names. And so we had a lot of knowledge around how to build a product and bring it to market. And so we've just really been focusing on kind of honing that skill set and kind of letting others leverage our knowledge and expertise on how to try to get a product to market as quick as possible and with the least amount of risk as possible as well.
Oh, awesome. I mean, it's so inspiring hearing all these different kinds of stories. It's really good that, us being the face of this microphone get to hear all these different stories and things that, people are doing. And as you said, a lot of us can relate to you guys. There's a lot of people, including in our audience, that, they're not happy, they're not satisfied with their jobs at the moment. They know that they're capable of doing better things, and they know their passion is elsewhere. And it's good that a lot of people can hear that from two guys that have managed to progress this company into what it is today. So what I want to jump into next is the whole mobile app side of things. So can you talk us through how having a mobile app business can actually help in terms of growth over a company that hasn't got a mobile app?
Yeah, sure. So it all really depends on what the business is trying to accomplish. So when we work with our entrepreneurs and they're thinking about building a new business, we first start with with their customer, and we go through, some entrepreneurs might have heard of this concept of customer development, where we sit down with our clients' customers and ask them a set of targeted questions to try to figure out, what is the challenge that they're facing and in what context are they facing it. And a lot of times you'll get responses from people where, they're commenting on different environments that they might experience that challenge. And whenever they experience that challenge when they're on the go, when they're not at a place where they can access a computer, typically a mobile app is a great place to engage your customer base. But I think a lot of more traditional businesses stumble on mobile because they hear mobile and they think they need a mobile app. In reality, there's a lot of different reasons why you'd want a mobile app and a lot of reasons why you wouldn't want a mobile app. So when we advise our clients, we try to help them focus on, what are those pain points that you're trying to serve and what type of engagement are you looking for. Mobile apps they're great, depending on the type of business that you're building, companions to your business. If your customers or clients need certain information or data and they need to interact with that data, they're not great for businesses who are looking to, they've built a website and they heard they need a mobile app, so they just translate their, really a marketing-based website or an informational website into a mobile app. But yeah, it all depends on the context of where your customers' challenges and needs are, and figuring out ways to help solve those challenges wherever they have access to a device that they need.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it wouldn't be necessary for, say, a gardener to have an app, would it? When you think about it. But a lot of people necessarily, they kind of just think that because it's the buzzword that's out there at the minute and the success stories that they hear behind having a mobile app, it's kind of one of them things that everybody feels like it's necessary.
Yeah, because I
Would
think
you agree?
There's a lot of people that, how many times you get on the train and everybody is on their mobile. So,
yeah.
And you just, I've been on a website before where you'll be on it and straight away it comes up and says, have you switched to our mobile app? So I suppose everyone just thinks the same thing and thinks, let's just get a mobile app. But there's obviously the things that we don't see is what you guys preach in your business model as to whether it's actually relevant or not for your business.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you'll see today there's that, people on average download 0 new apps, right? So we've gotten to this point where there's app fatigue, and there are billions of apps that people can download. So in order to stand above the crowd, you've got to be providing real value to your customers and your users. You see more success and adoption on the enterprise or business side than the consumer side, but every now and then you'll see a breakthrough app on the consumer side. And that's hard to do. It's really hard to build a consumer-centric app business because, consumers are becoming more and more picky. The apps that they use, the market for new apps is becoming diluted. So you've got to do a lot more to grab the attention of consumers. Whereas businesses, they're typically using apps for a productivity standpoint. And so usually it's, our clients will provide sort of web-based platform and have a companion mobile app so that people can access their application wherever they are. But yeah, it's hard to build a consumer-based app business today. But you still see the breakthroughs like the Pokemon Go rush, the Snapchats of the world. There's still opportunities out there, but it's just harder to get in front of people and get the word out.
Well, hopefully, who knows, we might be the next ones.
I would love to have
I would love it. It would be great. especially for our business as well.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. Yep.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, and the dream,
The dream,
you
yeah.
build truly bigger businesses, yeah.
Okay then, guys. So next type of question is basically what I want to ask you guys is that, you know, say that Stage 1 startup, we're a new client of SticksnLeaves and we want a kick-ass mobile app built by you guys. We're about to sit down and have a meeting. Can you go through the process that you usually go through with new clients and kind of walk them through what you're going to help them with and what you're going to achieve with them?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing that we try to do is work with our clients to figure out what's the vision for the business. And that's pretty crucial to understanding, you know, everything that happens beyond that. But the vision for the business and who the target audience is. And then we try to identify 1 to 2 biggest assumptions that you're making about the business. But if you don't figure out, the business will fail. So you'll see this typically where an entrepreneur has a great idea and they just make a lot of assumptions about how that idea is just gonna work and it's gonna be successful as long as they build it. But they don't do any of the early stage validation and making sure that there's actually a customer problem there. And so we really help them focus on what are the 2 things that have to be true in order for this business to be successful and for this app to be successful. And then we go out and we test those assumptions. So we build tests to figure out whether your assumptions are true or false, or they're valid or invalid. And we do that through a series of either short stage product development sprints, or we do that through customer interviews. So usually we'll do a small product development sprint if it's a consumer-based app, and we'll do more customer development if it's a business-focused app. And the reason for that is consumers, they don't really typically, if you're building an app for consumers, it's usually something that's kind of new or fun, and it's hard to figure out whether they've got a problem. So if you ask people, you know, whether you'd want your photos to disappear if you send them to your friend, you'll probably get several very different mixed answers. But if you see how they use it, you're going to get more validation as to whether you're on the right track or not. With a business application, usually businesses have clear problems and needs, and so you can have more pointed conversations with those clients and get earlier validation without having to build anything. So we break up, when I said kind of there's 3 stages to the clients that we work with. The first is the market need validation. So that's all of our services around that are really helping our clients understand their customers through those 2 different services. And then the next is when we've got some validation that there's a need in the market, then we move to building the product. And I'll let Anthony talk a little bit about that process.
Yeah, so one of the big things about building a product itself, actually executing on the idea, is to make sure that everybody understands what the vision is and where we're at within the vision. So a lot of entrepreneurs that we work with, we find that that what they see the business as, or what they want the business as to be right now, is probably something that's maybe 5 or 10 years down the road. So first of all, we try to make sure we get everybody on track, or on the same page, to understand what makes sense right now in order to get the product out the door into customers' hands to start getting that validation, right? Because launching a business is just a giant science experiment. And so we really focus on trying to get build as little as possible and get it out there as fast as possible so that we can start validating all of the assumptions we've made, because we don't want to sit around, you know, making a bunch of assumptions like what Yaw said and just kind of running with it and, you know, hoping it works. So from an execution point of view, that's kind of what we really focus on, is keeping things streamlined, keeping things quick and fast, and making sure that we're getting as much validation as possible, as quick as possible, as often as possible. So that's kind of without getting into a bunch of technical details, that's kind of the process.
And then to add to that, you've really got, there's multiple platforms to think about, right? And there's multiple devices to think about. And so you've got to figure out pretty early on what your strategy is. Are you going to launch on one platform and only support one device type? You're going to launch on multiple platforms. And then secondarily, this is one piece that I think a lot of people skim over when they start building mobile apps, is your push notification strategy is incredibly important. So push notifications are the key to bringing your users back to the app and making sure that you're getting that that feedback loop where people understand the value and they're coming back to your app more and more, and the push notifications are triggered to bring them back into the app and re-engage them if they've tried the app and then not tried it a second time.
Awesome. Well, that's brilliant. Thanks for summing that down, guys. And like you said, it wasn't too technical. I mean, I completely understood it, and I'm amazed by the process, to be honest. So is there any examples you can give in terms of what's worked mostly for the clients that you've helped with the whole setting up apps, in terms of what seemed to have had better conversions, whether it's been an app that's compatible with an iPhone or Android?
So good question, and it's hard to generalize based on platforms where we see a lot of success. It really depends on the product you build and the audience you're going after, and making sure that there's a match between what you build and what the customers are looking for. But you'll see you really have a lot of things to consider as far as you're an app that's strictly based application. There's platforms that you might try launching with a single platform, say iOS, and then moving to Android once you've seen some success, or vice versa. If you're launching an international application, there's Android's got deeper penetration in international markets than iOS does, and so really choosing the platform is kind of a nuance based on what your audience looks like and what you're targeting. It's very dependent on what the product is and what you're trying to accomplish with the business.
Sure. So brilliant. And just lastly, before I know Greg's going to dive into another part of the juice of the questions, but could you just give us an idea? I mean, when somebody approaches you and you start the process, the ball's rolling and the development starts, how long roughly does it take, or does it depend on the type of app you're creating and how many features the app has and whatnot?
Yeah. So what's the typical length of how long does it take to build a new application?
Exactly. Yeah.
It definitely ranges, and it definitely depends on if you're building for one platform or both. But we've seen the hard part is that it really does depend on the type of application you're building. If it's a simple application where there's not really any need to connect the app through some sort of API to some other data source or save the data based on who's using the application, usually those types of projects can take anywhere from a few weeks to a month. When you're getting more complex and you're building in things like messaging or being able to build out user profiles or do ratings and reviews or those sorts of things, you can see things go up to 2 to 3 months. There's been projects where we've worked on that have been 6 months long, but really if you're really going after a market and you're trying to build a business centered around your app, you should consider your investment in that as something that's ongoing, right? You're always trying to iterate and improve the application. Every time each platform comes out with a new operating system, say iOS comes out with iOS 11, they make changes, and you've got to make changes to your app to make sure that it's compatible with those newer versions of the operating system. So you should really consider it as, okay, we're going to spend some time building first version. That may take a couple of months. And then once it's in the market, we have to continually iterate to make sure that the app is staying relevant and that our clients are getting increasing value over time.
Mm. Before we go into the next question, I'd just like to tell our audience that for those of you that don't know, I am the geek side of Stage 1 Startup, and this episode is already blowing my mind completely. It's absolutely fascinating in my eyes, and I absolutely love talking about things like this. This is kind of like Christmas came early for me at the minute. So thank you very much.
Sure. Merry Christmas.
Thanks, guys. Thanks. So whilst we're on the topic of kind of timescales and how long things take to build, let's draw things back to SticksnLeaves. How long did it take for SticksnLeaves to really kind of grow into the business that it is right now, with a team of... Is it 12 team members that you guys have got now over in the office?
Yeah, so that's actually a really good question. So altogether, we've got about 15 right now. And we're growing, right? And we're growing, so we're trying to add people as well. And it's a really good question. Every entrepreneur's journey is different, right? And when they start to see that product market fit, when they start to see success, is different. And so we've always had the opportunity to work with a lot of entrepreneurs and kind of be part of their story and understand their story. So sometimes it's good to kind of take a step back and kind of look at our own story. And so for SticksnLeaves, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we started seeing success around year 3. Around year 3. And before that, so we've been around for about 6 years. And before that, it was just Yaw and I, and then 2 other people. And then around year 3 is when we started to start taking those risks to really kind of focus on scaling the business, right? Like we got to the point where we were just like, this is either going to work or it isn't. We're going to hire the people that we think we need to make this work and take those risks. And so we did, and luckily for us, we made the right decisions, and we betted on the right risk. So like I said, took about 3 years to kind of get to the point where we started feeling really good about where we were going. And then from there, it's been just kind of an iterative process on how do we make ourselves better, how do we provide a better service for our clients, how do we provide a better experience. And so it's been really kind of a fun ride since then.
Yeah, and I'll add to Anthony too. The first 3 years, like they were very much a roller coaster. So we definitely had as our entrepreneurial journey hasn't always been, roses and butterflies. There have been times when Anthony and I, in the first 3 years, we didn't take a paycheck for several months to make sure that we could make payroll and pay our employees, and we had certain instances where clients came short on payments, and you've got employees that luckily this didn't happen to us very often, but employee decides to leave the firm, or we've got to let an employee go just because they're not a fit. And those are really challenging points and really kind of low points in our journey that have helped us really actually build a stronger business. And I wouldn't trade having those moments for the world, because we've become much smarter about, who we hire, how we grow, how we manage cash, to make sure that we can build a strong and lasting.
And I suppose that's kind of where the joys of being in a partnership come into play, isn't it? Really, because things are a lot harder when you're on your own. Whereas when you've got that other person to bounce off of and really kind of drag you through the mud when things are a little bit tough, that's when the partnership comes into fruition, because you can really bounce back off of each other when things are low. So that's a very good point. Like, I don't think I'd be able to do this without Yaw. We're business married. We share bank accounts and all that stuff. But
bromance love.
Yeah, and so you're very right. And I recommend any entrepreneur to try to find a partner if they can, because you go through a lot. There's a lot of ups and downs. There's a lot of where you feel like you're just going insane, and it's just tough. And so it's nice to have that person there to kind of bounce ideas off of, or talk about your frustrations and just all that stuff. And so Yaw and I, it's always kind of funny. We always seem to be on the opposite end, so we can help each other out a lot more. So I'm feeling down about something, and Yaw's feeling good about something, and vice versa. And so we kind of help each other there. But what's really great about our partnership is that Yaw and I are very similar, but we're also very different, right? So I'm the technical end. I'm the CTO of the business. Yaw's the CEO, so he's the business end of the business. And so personality-wise, we're very similar, but skill set-wise, we're very different. But we're also very complementary. And so sometimes you see a lot of entrepreneurs, they go into partnerships with everybody has the same skill set, right? And then you start headbutting, and it just doesn't go well. So we've been very fortunate. And like I said, there's no way I could do this. I could have done this on my own. So I've been very fortunate to have Yaw as my partner.
That's brilliant. I mean, that's definitely something that we can, give to our listeners, and, hear it firsthand from two guys that have built something from scratch, that they've just said that they've been through the mud, they've gone through the sticks and leaves, as such, as you would say. And
where's the drum roll where's the drum roll when you need it?
They've gone through the sticks and leaves, and then they've come out the other end, and they're two better people for it. And again, we would 100% recommend for a partnership. As you guys were explaining your relationship, me and Brad were sitting here hugging each other because that's the exact same relationship as we've got. So.
No, but it is true. It does sound. I mean, as you said, you've got your similarities. You're the same with the mindset, but you've got your differences in skills, and it's exactly the same with myself and Greg. There's things I like focusing on more in terms of the business side of things, and Greg's comes through with the technical side of things, and it does definitely work, especially when you've got the same mindset. So I could definitely relate to that. And what I love most about that, what I took away most from that, is that you guys have been, you said it took about 3 years to actually take off, and it's the fact that you both stuck out for those 3 years and stuck by it and knew that you could see the light at the end of the tunnel. You stuck by it with each other.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there are plenty of times, right, where you just kind of want to, give it up, right? I've done this. I've been doing this for 3 years. This isn't, I'm not Steve Jobs yet. So, but then you got Yaw there on the other end saying, we can't quit now. We're so close. And, I do the same for him. And so, yeah, so we keep each other sane for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant. Right, so guys, a couple of things that I want to follow on from that. We want to try and get into, I know I'm going to let Greg get into the funding side of things since there was the pair of you. But one thing I want to know is when you was in actual fact, Greg, you start with funding because I think it might be more relevant at this time.
Right. Okay. So like you said, guys, you said, it said it took you three and a bit years to get Sticks and Leaves to where it is now. How were you guys funding that? Did you guys have jobs in the meantime? Did you kind of seek out investment? Was it crowdfunded? We really want to try and help our listeners understand the ways that they can get to where you guys are with the advice that you guys have got when it comes to funding.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're actually self-funded. So Anthony and I, basically, we just, as fast as we could, we found a first client, and we had our customers fund us, have ever since. So we are a self-funded bootstrap business, and we manage to keep a very close eye on our cash flow to use that investment to grow the business. But a lot of our entrepreneurs raise money, so I think collectively the entrepreneurs that we've worked with have raised on the magnitude of 10 to 15 million in funding, and a lot of that depends on how you want to build and grow the business. For us, we're more of a services-based business, so it really means that our growth is dependent on the number of people that we can hire. For more businesses that are more software as a service or SaaS-based, investors like to see that, because really scaling the business means finding more and more customers and scaling the product to meet that demand, and not necessarily dependent on the people. There's some dependence on people, but to a lesser extent than a more services-based business. Anthony, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, and there are trade-offs, right, to doing it either way. So we're bootstrapped. We have plenty of clients who have taken venture or angel money. When you're bootstrapped, you get to make all the decisions, right? Yaw and I, we steer the ship, and we take advice from anybody we can get advice from, but ultimately the decision is up to us. When you're venture-backed or angel-backed, you've got board members and you've got people you have to answer to. So neither is bad, neither is, you can't say either is good or bad, right? It's just dependent on the type of business and the type of entrepreneur you are and which one you kind of strive or excel in. So I think that might be the only thing I kind of have to add to that.
Yeah, I think I in particular do love hearing about bootstrapped businesses, especially because, again, it's something we relate to, and we like to preach that people are able to start businesses in today's age by completely bootstrapping their way. And I must admit, I didn't really expect that with you guys. For this sort of business, I thought it might have took quite a bit of investment to get up and running. So, kudos to both of you.
Yeah. Really, all we needed were computers, right? I mean, it really boiled down to hustle. We went out, we basically had no name, and the type of business we were building, the clients that we work with, they've got to have a tremendous amount of trust in us that, the product that they need and the business that they want to build. And so it took a lot of early convincing and a lot of just networking and meeting with as many people as we could and trying to find clients that believed in Anthony and I more so than the company, because that's what the company was at the time, was just he and I. So a lot of it was just trying to sell ourselves and get our name out there as much as we could.
Yeah. So that actually follows into my next question, because I really wanted to sort of know how you guys got this business out there. And obviously you had, your two jobs. So could you talk us through maybe a couple of things when it was in the early stages to get your exposure into the real world? What sort of things was you doing? Was you doing adverts? Were you contacting PR companies, cold emailing? Just talk us through a bit of that.
Yeah. So in the early stages, since I was more on the business side, most of the clients came through the networks that I had built over the couple of years before that. So we're in Indianapolis, and I'd spend, a lot of time in the tech community here. And so I was able to leverage our network to really, really find our first set of customers. And then, to be frank, we didn't really know what we were doing. In the first 3 years, we tried a lot of different things to create deal flow. But, some of our deals came from our current clients. So that was a great source of project clients that we did great work for. They referred us to their network of people. We did a lot of events. So the type of work that we do is very relationship based. And so many times, we saw more success when we were able to sit down and work with people. So networking was a great way to start that conversation. Actually, events. Going to networking events was a great place to start that conversation. And then as we grew, we started to get a little bit more strategic or more risky with the bets. So one thing that we did was we created an online website that was more of a profile of the Indianapolis tech scene. So we had all of the businesses, the tech-based businesses, create their digital profile on this website so that anybody could go and look at that database and figure out how big the ecosystem was and how many companies were being built here, and also find other companies to do business with. And we had, I think, when we ended up shutting the site down, but it was a great brand building site for us. I think we had 400 businesses that signed up, and every month we'd send them an email talking about the growth or different things that were happening in the indie tech scene, and our name and brand was on that email. So it was going out to a lot of different people. So I think that really helped our brand. And then once we hit our stride in year 3, we hired actually a senior executive who helped us build out more marketing and PR strategies. So we've been using PR as a great way to get our name out there and build some more deal flow, and that's helped tremendously.
So you guys have pretty much gone through all the stages of getting your name and getting your brand out there. So you went from starting offline to then going offline and online to then going to advertising and PR. So you guys have pretty much done everything in terms of getting your brand and SticksnLeaves out there. So, it just goes to show that it isn't all down to the internet to be able to get your business out there. There are many other ways.
Right. It's very true.
Yeah. It's good to build those relationships.
Yeah, definitely. Brilliant.
Let people get to know you.
Okay, so what we're going to do now then, guys, we are going to go into the rocket round. Now, what the rocket round is 5 quick questions that we're going to ask you to answer as quickly as possible. So you guys are going to have to think on your feet.
And guys, because there is 2 of you, if one of you answer and then the other one gives your answer, because there's probably going to be, you're probably going to have different views on each answer. You ready, guys?
I think so.
Sounds good. Yep.
Okay, so let's kick it off. So, favorite book?
Ooh, that's a good one. So the most recent book that I've read that I've really liked is it's a fiction book. It's As They Lay Dying by William Faulkner, and it's a Southern Gothic title, and it plays a lot with kind of just interesting topics like mental illness and stuff like that, which is interesting because you see a lot of that in the entrepreneurial community, and we've known people that have kind of struggled through that kind of stuff, and so it's kind of interesting to just kind of read about that stuff.
Brilliant. Can you just confirm the name of that again for us? Was it William Butler? What was the title?
It was As I Lay Dying. It's an older book, and it was by William Faulkner.
Faulkner.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And then I read more business-based books than I do fiction, but the most recent book I read that I really loved was The Hard Thing About Hard Things by Ben Horowitz, the partner at Andreessen Horowitz venture capital firm, and he has that book is really insightful about how you handle really uncomfortable situations when you're building a business. And it's more from the standpoint of him as an operator of a business and not necessarily somebody who hasn't built a business before, but doing the hard things like having to, make major layoffs or having to deal with more human resource related issues. And I thought it was really a really insightful book.
Brilliant. Okay, nice one. We've got that one written down. We've got both of them ready, so those shall go on the show notes. Okay, so next question. What is both of your favourite social media channels? There's many out there.
Oh, man. I would probably say, so I'm a much more introverted type individual, so I would say that Facebook is probably my go-to, as I kind of make sure that stays within the friend group, right? But if I really want to get something out there, I just use Twitter.
Yeah, I'm pretty similar. I usually spend most of my time on the major ones: Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. I love Instagram. Just it's awesome.
Yeah, SticksnLeaves actually sees a lot of traction from Instagram, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Brad, next question.
Awesome. So now this is quite a touchy one. I like hearing the answers for this. So what is your best advice to a startup that's potentially struggling or going through they've just sat down at the desk, got their idea, they're about to start? What would be your best advice to them right now?
So I know mine. So I would, before anything else, is write down what I think are the biggest assumptions that I'm making about the business, and then go and find 2 or 3 people that aren't my friends or family, 2 or 3 people that I think would be customers of the business, and just ask for a quick 15 to 20-minute conversation with them. And really during that conversation, try to validate whether the risks that I've written down are valid and they can be overcome or can't be overcome. So I think a lot of entrepreneurs spend a lot of time on a lot of different things, but it seems like the one thing that they don't spend 90-95% of their time on is finding early customers and just having very candid conversations with them. So that's the one advice I would give to any entrepreneur.
Yeah, I kind of echo that. I'd say focus, right? Understand what the problem is. Understand what helps your business, or it's just a kind of a hurdle you're trying to get over. If it's a hurdle, a lot of times, if you put in the work over time, we found that it will that the problems eventually get resolved. A lot of businesses that we see, they don't fail because the idea is bad. They fail because they don't have enough either resources or just determination to kind of stick through kind of the harder times.
Brilliant. No, that is a perfect bit of advice for any of our listeners to take away. So next question: who is your favorite entrepreneurial idol, if you have any at all? I'm sure you do.
So I'm pretty fascinated by Elon Musk. I don't try to idolize business leaders or anything like that, but I'm just fascinated by Elon Musk in the way that he takes risks. He doesn't really see obstacles. He just sees his own vision and puts together what appear to be simple plans, but executes tremendously against that vision that he has. And so Elon's a pretty fascinating person to me.
Yeah. No, same for me. I bet that's a common answer, but yeah.
Actually, haven't had Elon Musk on any of our guests. None of our guests have actually said Elon Musk, which is, to be fair, it's quite surprising with what that guy is doing to the world right now.
It's changing the world.
Right. No, I'm really surprised, honestly. Yeah, Elon Musk is my guy too. He's a fascinating individual. He's just on a different level. He just thinks differently. It's crazy.
He does.
It's almost like he's not human in some sort of way.
The plans he's got, I mean, people must call him crazy on a day-to-day basis.
He's wearing a human suit.
I actually heard one thing about him is that he invested all of the money he made out of PayPal into Tesla or SpaceX, one of them, literally, and slummed it on a couch in his apartment, couldn't really afford much. apparently, I don't know how true that is, but
Yeah, he knows how to take a risk.
yeah. Right, so last question, guys, of the rocket round is this is actually a new one. I've just added it in. I just threw it in there. Do you have a guilty pleasure business idea?
Freestyle question.
So if there's something you've always thought, you know what, I'd love to start an ice cream van or something, whatever it might be.
Oh, that's a very good question. I do eat a lot of ice cream. Actually. I used to eat a scoop of ice cream every night. It was a good way to end the night. But I try to nowadays. I try not to have those guilty pleasures, if you will, and more use if you're starting a business, it's pretty intensive on your mind, and so usually now to kind of decompress, I'll go out and do something active. So play some soccer or football, or do something where I'm moving my body, and so that's my guilty pleasure is running around.
Man, let's see. I don't feel guilty very often. It's a little difficult. I don't know. I guess right now, maybe my guilty pleasure. I'm opposite of I don't run around a whole lot, but I guess my guilty pleasure right now is watching Orange is the New Black on Netflix.
Oh my God, what an amazing series that is.
I know, right? Yeah. So between that and House of Cards.
Yeah, that as well. But that's another one of them series that you kind of just can't switch off from. Like, you can't just sit there and watch it. You have to physically watch it. And by the end of the show, I genuinely felt like I could run for president. So what we're going to do now then, everybody, we are going to jump into round 2 of the questions. We're going to make this super quick. We're only going to ask you 2 questions that both me and Brad think are necessary. So these types of questions will be about the tools and techniques that you guys are using on a day-to-day basis that make your lives as an entrepreneur easier. Are you ready for question number 1?
Yeah.
So guys, my last question before I chat you over to Greg is, what online tools are you using, if any, that helps you on a day-to-day basis with, making things continue to be productive at SticksnLeaves, whether that's, tools like Slack, anything like that, whatever it is, what helps the productivity at SticksnLeaves to keep going?
Good question. So for me, and I'll probably actually, a lot of this is probably just general, but also on the development side. So Slack, of course, is brilliant. We use that. That is our hub for everything. So we use Slack all the time for project management type stuff and to-do lists and all that stuff. We use Asana, which is also amazing. Let's see. What else? We use, on the development side, we use a lot of the kind of typical stuff. So we use GitHub, which is nice for doing code reviews and just doing all the stuff we need to do development-wise. Hangouts, Google Hangouts is great. We have a lot of people just all over the place, and so being able to communicate and chat and see each other's faces and feel connected with the people that aren't necessarily physically here is really valuable. Those would probably be my four big ones.
Yeah, so I'll give two business, 2 personal. Envision. So Envision is phenomenal from a prototyping perspective. Our design team uses that a lot to get feedback from our clients and their customers. And then from a more of a productivity standpoint, we use Boomerang Calendar. So it helps us it helps me keep my inbox sane, helps me snooze emails, helps me book me and that sort of thing. And then a personal tool that I use that I've fallen in love with is Text Expander. So Text Expander is just a great way to, if you're continually typing the same thing over and over again, it gives you quick shortcuts that you can hit, and it'll just paste that snippet for you. So that's been a tremendous time saver.
Perfect.
Brilliant. Okay, we shall put those answers into the show notes for our listeners to head on over and find out. Okay, so the last question before we wrap things up from me is, you kind of touched on earlier what your favorite social media platform yourselves that you guys use. what social media platforms are out there right now that helps Sticks and Leaves really grow?
Yeah, great question. So we've invested most of our time on Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn for the most part. That's where we see a lot of activity and interaction. And then in some instances, we'll use Facebook is challenging because they limit the reach that you have. If you build an audience, if you've got a Facebook page and you build a following, they still only limit the posts that you've got. So we, in some instances, will promote our posts through Facebook to get more interaction. But.
Perfect. Well, guys, it's been amazing having you on the show. We've definitely took a lot of value from that. I know Greg's smile is ear to ear at the moment.
I've got so many ideas for Stage 1 Startup just by speaking to you guys. It's unreal.
Yeah, when's our meeting?
When can we come over to the US and have our sit down with you guys?
Yeah, we'd love to host you.
Yeah, anytime you guys want.
Awesome. So, guys, what we just want to sort of wrap up with is where people can find you guys and how best to get in contact with you if they need to.
Yeah, so websites, our website's a great place. Just Sticks, the letter N, leaves.com. And then if anybody wants to email either of us, I'm sure we'd be open to having a conversation about anything that's on your mind. You can email me at yaw@sticksnleaves.com.
Yeah, you can get me at Anthony@sticksnleaves.com as well.
Brilliant.
Perfect. Well, we'll put all the links and that in the show notes if you guys are happy for that. And is Sticks and Leaves on all social media platforms or where are you guys at?
Yeah. Yep. So it's usually just our name, as the handle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff.
Great.
Perfect.
Perfect, guys. It has, honestly, this show has been absolutely brilliant. I know that you guys have dropped some huge value bombs for not just us, but for our listeners as well. And for that, we really do thank you. And hopefully we'll be able to get you to come back on the show in the future to answer some more questions for us. Because I'm sure this episode could have gone on for a lot longer than what it did. So.
Yeah, no, this was a lot of fun. Thanks a lot for having us on and giving us the opportunity. So, anytime you guys want to come to the United States and hang out with us, we're totally down.
Sounds good.
Brilliant. Okie dokie.
Cool.
Awesome.
All right, well, thanks a lot, guys, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
So then, guys, what an amazing episode it has been. We hope you've taken away some super tips and advice from today's episode and from our special guests. And don't forget, you can replay this show or check out any of the show notes by visiting our website at www.stageonestartup.com/podcast. But before we leave you, we'd just like to put the icing on the cake. We always like to finish the show with our current and most special announcement, the S1S contest. Anybody can enter. All you need to do is follow the rules of the game, which Brad is about to tell you. But first, here's what to expect to win from the contest. You will win 1 year's free subscription to LivePlan, 5 free entrepreneurial books chosen by myself and Brad. You will also win a personalised S1S t-shirt with the winner's name on it. Could it be any better? Now, Brad, if you could just tell our listeners what they have to do to be in with a chance to win.
Always a pleasure, Greg. So, guys, all you need to do to enter the contest and have your chance of winning these amazing startup gifts are: number 1, subscribe to the podcast. Number 2, leave a tasty review for us. And number 3, give us a big fat 5-star rating. Once you've done that, take a super selfie of you holding a note that says done, #GiveMeS1S. You can post this on Instagram, Twitter or Facebook, but make sure you tag us in the picture as well as put in the hashtag into the description, as we will be doing the search for entries by using the hashtag. Visit our website on the stageonestartup.com/podcast page to see the end of contest date and when we will be revealing the winner. We'll also be giving our winner a shout out on the podcast to congratulate them.
So then, guys, it is literally that simple. You've got to be in the game to win the game. Thanks so much for listening to today's show. We really do appreciate everybody who has tuned in to take tips and advice from today's guests. We will continue to make it our priority to provide you with the best of the best so that you can go from launching your business from stage 1 to success. Goodbye for now, guys, and we shall see you in the next episode.
Houston, we're back.
Thank you for listening to the Stage 1 Startup Podcast. If you're looking to launch your own business idea, visit stage1startup.com for recommended resources and step-by-step guidance to help you succeed. Prepare for takeoff.